The Camtasia Recorder is usually the first tool that you start using with Camtasia because that's what actually initiates the screen capture. What I'm going to show you right now is one way that you can start the recorder, and we're going to go over most of the features in different areas inside of it. Right now you're looking at Camtasia Studio itself, and this is where we do all the editing to our videos. But you can launch the recorder from inside Camtasia Studio. In the upper left-hand corner on the task list, we see record the screen. Let's click this link. And by default, if you start it this way, you're going to get a recording wizard. I'm going to click cancel right now because we're not going to walk through actually setting up the wizard. Instead, I want to just look at some of the different areas of the Camtasia Recorder itself. And then later on, we'll go ahead and record our first video. In the recorder, this is where we set up some of the basics, the fundamentals for our video. Things like what exactly we're going to capture, how large of an area, in other words, that we're going to capture. Are we going to be recording audio while we do the capture? Are we going to be recording our camera? You'll notice that we've got three sections here: video, audio, and camera. So in our video section, we need to determine what exactly it is that we want to capture. We're able to capture with Camtasia, and I'm going to drop this little box down here, and you'll see the options that we have. We can capture either the entire screen, which is your entire desktop. Everything that you see on your computer, that's what would be recorded. Like you see the video right now where we have the taskbar, our desktop, the entire desktop, and the applications inside of it. So everything is getting recorded. The next option would be for a window. And what this means is a dialog window or an application window. So if I only wanted to record an application that was running and I didn't want the rest of my desktop to be captured, then I could use the window option. Our next option is for a region. And this will actually allow you to click and drag to highlight and define an area on the screen. So if you only wanted a certain area to be recorded, this will let you specify that specific area. And then we have a fixed region. And this again is similar to the region option, except that it has some predefined sizes. So you wouldn't actually be creating or defining the area. You would choose from a group of presets. We're going to be creating videos in each of these different formats throughout the training. Okay, so for now, I just want you to see the options here in the recorder. Now for the audio section, this is where we're going to select the source, where our audio comes from. Are we going to be recording from a microphone? Are we going to be recording from the sound that you hear on the speakers? Do we want everything captured? Or do we even not want to have audio at all? So if I click the audio link here, I can choose not only where my sound comes from, but I can set the volume. I can also choose the audio format. Again, that's something that we do deal specifically with later on when we do our first recording. So let's click cancel. And then in the camera section, as you might have guessed, this is where we can decide if we want the camera to be recorded or not. If we're going to use the picture-in-picture functionality and we want to have that live camera action, then we can record not only whatever video on the desktop that's being recorded, but we can also at the same time record whatever output our camera is giving us as well. Now, as far as the menu goes here in the recorder, most of these options that you see in the main area here are also available under the capture menu. Okay, so we can decide what we record. We can decide if we want our audio recorded at the same time and if we want our camera to be recorded. Under the view menu, the only section that we're going to deal with right now is this very first section. Sorry about that. This very first section right here, where this affects what kinds of things show up or how the recorder actually looks. Right now you'll notice I'm in standard view. If I go to compact, and I don't have that larger section down here, and then if I go to minimal, I even get rid of my menu. And that's something that you might want to do after you get your initial settings configured and you're going to be using the same settings all the time. Then you can just go to the minimal setting. Now we're going to change back. We'll click this icon here, and that takes us back to the standard view. The other items that are under here pertain to some more in-depth functionality that we're going to be covering later on, so I'm not going to deal with those right now, but this is just turning the toolbars off and on for that type of functionality. For example, if I want the zoom and pan toolbar, I just click on it and I get an extra toolbar here. Okay, so again, we're not going to be dealing with that just yet, but the next thing we will look at is the effects menu. And here we've just got some real-time recording options that, again, I'm not going to demonstrate right now. But for example, the cursor. I can decide if I want the cursor to show up during the recording. If I want, I can hide the cursor. I can even highlight the cursor. Okay, so these are recording options. That means that they happen, whatever you set here actually happens during the recording. All right, and the last section is tools. The last menu item is tools, and this is basically an application switcher. If I want to go back to Camtasia Studio, I can just click on that, and that'll bring me back into Camtasia Studio. And all of the applications really have that functionality. If I go to tools, I have all of the other different applications. Camtasia Studio is really a suite of products. It's several different applications that are used together. So again, this is the Camtasia Recorder. You're going to be using that quite a bit, and this is just an overview of the features, but when we actually do our first recording, I'll be demonstrating a good bit of these features.